All right. Welcome back to our Simple Healthy Life podcast, where our goal is to have real, insightful conversations on topics that we find interesting. Today, Ryan and I thought it'd be fun to talk about a book that we both read, and kind of as at the beginning of our friendship, we kind of connected over this book. And the book is called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. For those of you that haven't read the book, we're going to try to summarize it, kind of offer our thoughts around what it means. And it's a very short, easy read. And one of the things that attracted me to the book was actually Corey's friend Annie told me about the book quite some time ago, and she said that she tries to revisit it every year. And now that I've read it multiple times, I would tell you that this is one of those books that you can go and revisit every year. And the concept of the book is the four agreements that you make with yourself to lead how does he put it? What's he say? A better life, a happy life, a fulfilling life?
Yeah, maybe fulfilling, maybe better.
Yeah, to lead a fulfilling life, right? And though he breaks it down pretty simply, he talks a little bit about the Toltec religion and kind of the way he thinks about why we're here. But then there are four things. We'll get right to them, right? Number one is don't make assumptions. Okay?
No, be impeccable.
Number one is be impeccable with your word.
Yes.
Good. Even better. That's my favorite one. Number one is be impeccable with your word. And it's really the one that changed me as a person when I started to read this. Number two is don't make assumptions.
Don't take it personal.
Don't take it personal. Number three, don't make assumptions. I'm assuming I read this one. Yeah, okay, don't make assumptions. And then number four is always do your best.
Yes.
So I'll start with be impeccable with your word. What he was starting to say, and I actually think I might have taken this different than what he was saying.
Sure.
So what he was saying is essentially in order to live a fulfilling life, you want to be impeccable with your word. So these words are not just the words that you say outwardly, but also the words that you say to yourself. So we've just recently kind of done a podcast fully on negative self-talk and beating yourself up, running yourself down. What I recognized when I read this book, and I'm thankful I read it, over a decade ago now, is that I was not being impeccable with my word. I was actually recognizing that so much of the words that I was using about myself, I'm not good enough, I'm a bum, I'll never get it, I'm too fat, I can't, nobody likes me. I was actually articulating outwardly. I was saying that about other people. Look at that guy, what a bum. Look at that over there. That dude's, he clearly doesn't get it. Oh man, what an idiot that dude is. My words were translating. They were translating right from my train of thought about myself, right out there into the open into about other people. And Corey tells a story. After I read the book, I basically went silent for about 2 weeks. And I realized that not only was I doing that, but the people I was surrounding myself with were also doing that. And it really did change. And I do mean this when I say that it changed my life. This is the specific chapter in the book that really made an adjustment from who I was to who I am today. I recognized that was the way I was talking about myself. And I didn't like it. And I'm grateful that it brought awareness to it. And I'm even more grateful that I had the ability to make the change. So that's my kind of story about what it means being impeccable with your word. What did it mean to you?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, it's funny. You had messaged me earlier and said, "Hey, let's talk about the four agreements." And I had just thought about maybe the week prior, maybe like last week. I had just thought about that story that you told me where you had gone kind of silent because you were like, wow, what I'm saying is not the truth. Everything that's kind of going on is not the truth. And you mentioned that just like in regards to self-talk, but I can imagine there's a lot of other things that you were saying that also weren't the truth too, just as most people. Like I think that we probably lie a little bit more than we are comfortable admitting, which is a sad thought, I suppose. And they could be little things, all little things. I don't think anyone's like a pathological kind of liar, but well, there are some people, right? But nonetheless, like I think that we aren't impeccable. We aren't telling the truth, and this book is a little spiritual because he talks about religion and the Toltec religions, and he talks about God and heaven and whatnot. But if you're not exactly a religious person, recognize that maybe religion is they're all the same. They're all saying the same things. Spirituality is all saying the same thing. Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, they're all saying the same things. And it's basically these are guides on how to feel your best, how to live a life worth living, kind of. And so some of these little things, being impeccable with your word, in Christianity, like tell the truth, right? Like that's kind of the same deal. And so, for me, I think it's a really challenging one. And the reason why I had thought about you was because I recognize that a lot of the times I'm not saying things too. Like I'm kind of a more quiet person, believe it or not, because I don't know what's always true. And I really want to be impeccable with my word. And for whatever reason, that thought came up because I think I was struggling to say something somewhere in one part of my life, and not anything that I can remember. It's not like not any looming distress or anything, but I just had recognized it and thought, wow, yeah, maybe I'm just kind of a quieter person because I want to be sure, and I describe myself as pretty deliberate with what I say. So if I do say something, it's probably been thought about. I've really put some time into it, and so I really want to be impeccable. And so I love this chapter. I think it's the four agreements coalesce very well with each other, and it's such a great book.
Yeah. What about think about from being impeccable with your word perspective? Like, how many times do we lie to ourselves in order to just get by? Oh, you know what? Actually, I like work. I like my job. I like this. It's fine, right? That's really not being impeccable with your word, right? It's lying to yourself is what it is. It's saying like, I can do this. I like it. I like it enough. I'm whatever, right? It's not. Well, the truth is, I really don't like it, but I'm actually not capable of making a change right now because I'm focused on these other things, and whatever that is, right? It's really not being impeccable with your word. That's when you get to the heart of it, nobody cares, right? I don't care if you like work, and I don't care if you say you like work, and I don't care if whatever it is, but you do.
Right.
You have to decide, am I going to be impeccable with my word? Am I going to say to myself, no, I don't like this. I'm going to make a change because this is not for me, right? Or I've outgrown this. And when you start to choose to be impeccable with your word, it does start to affect the way you physically speak, not just the way your internal workings work, but the way you physically start to speak. And I would challenge anybody that's listening to this. Well, in fact, I'm going to challenge everybody here at the end after we get through the four agreements. So let's talk about agreement number 2. And since I clearly can't remember the order,
yeah,
you
sure.
go.
And this one was new to me. I think when I had read the book, and it's don't take anything personal, or something like that. Don't take it personally, right? And man, what a good one. I didn't even know what that meant, right? What does it mean to not take it personal, right? And he really emphasizes that everything that can happen, does happen, will happen. Nothing about that involves you, right? Someone comes in here and like slaps me across the face, like, I don't like what you said, and slaps me across the face and leaves. Guess what? It's not personal, right? And this seems ridiculous. Like you could say, well, Ryan, you elicited that or whatever. I didn't elicit anything. It was that person's reaction to whatever it is that I had said that made them take it. They took it personal. I didn't take that personal, and it wasn't personal to me. And so, that's obviously an extreme example, but anything that happens is not really personal to us. And I think this is really this is my favorite rule. If I had to pick favorites, this is my favorite agreement.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, back to my own personal example, my personal example,
Yeah.
which I can take personal. When I was saying those things about other people, that person's an idiot, this person sucks, we'll look at that over there, right? What I was actually doing was articulating my own thoughts around who I was, right? I was saying these things because I felt that way about me. I was an idiot. I wasn't good enough. I was fat. I was all these things. So by articulating them, by saying them out loud, if those people took it personal, what they were actually doing was just taking my own venom, my own internal concerns about myself, and they were taking it personal. Granted, I was intentionally portraying them onto them, but that wasn't really. It should not have really. It does affect us, but it should not have affected them, because the truth is they aren't those things. They're not dumb. They're not stupid. They're not these things. I was saying these things because I felt that way about myself.
Right.
And the way he articulates it is so beautiful that that's what we all do. Right? That's what we do. That's how we communicate. We articulate these things, these feelings about ourselves out there outwardly, and we share them. And then, yes, it's very easy to take things personal. And I think the thing to remember here is that it's very easy to not take things personal with people that you don't know, right?
Sure.
It's easy to not take things personal with people you don't care about. It's easy to not take things personal with just passersby, like, dude pushed you over. Well, that dude was having a bad day, and I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what happens when it's someone that you love? It's someone that you care very deeply about. That personal feeling, it's still the same. It's still the same. They're still operating the same way I was operating. So taking it personal is just not the way to live a healthy, fulfilled life.
Right. And he brings up like the intimate relationship piece quite a bit throughout the book. And this is a good example, right? Like, so spouse doesn't do what you think that they should have done, right? Oh, they didn't take out the trash. Oh, they didn't do the dishes. Oh, they didn't, kiss me goodbye, or they didn't do this, or they didn't do that, right? And so then you say, well, they're doing that to me on purpose. Like there is something about how they acted that is a pure like disdain for me, or they're trying to send me a message, or it's to spite me, or they're not taking care of me, or they're not paying enough attention to me. Whatever that feeling is, it comes up a lot. Those kinds of thoughts in kind of an intimate relationship. And guess what? It's not personal. Everyone has their own lives, and so-and-so may not have done the dishes or taken out the trash just because they had a busy day. Cut them some slack or whatever, right? Or they maybe having a hard day. You don't even know. Maybe you didn't ask a question. Maybe you're just so self-absorbed that you didn't actually, care enough to make an appropriate assumption, right? Or maybe not make an assumption at all.
That's so one of the things I'll give another example from my own personal life. Like, it took me a long time. So we had Corey on the podcast, and she's not the best with time. I am very punctual and very, very much like, this is the time, this is what we do, this is what we said we were going to do, this is the time. And we talk about belief systems all the time, right? I don't know where that came from, but I'm sure it's been in there since I was very young. And this is just one of those things where I'm very punctual and she's not. It took me a long time to recognize that there wasn't a personal attack on me. That if she was late, it wasn't because she didn't care about my feelings. It wasn't because she was doing it on purpose to make me wait. And that took me a long time, really, way too long. If you were looking down at from 5,000 feet, you'd be like, wow, this dude just does not get it. But it took me a long time. But I read the book, and I realized, hey, if I just don't take it personal, let's see what happens. No, she didn't get any better with time. But I was able to not take it personal and realize, hey, this isn't a personal attack on me. This is just something that I'm going to have to understand and figure out how how to communicate around and combat against, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So we all have those examples, right? Especially with loved ones, like Ryan said. So maybe think about some things that you take personal consistently that are challenging you, and see if you can allow yourself just for a day or two to try not to take it personally.
Yeah. Yeah. We can give endless examples, but only you know what you take personal. And so that's the challenge. Go 3 hours and see how many times you take something personal. How many times it's because you're the center of the universe, right? You are your own main character, but that's not how we should kind of go about things. And so just take a couple hours and note it. Hey, I took it personal when so-and-so didn't wave back to me. They must not like me.
Right.
You know?
Didn't say hello to me today.
Yeah. So-and-so didn't text me back. They must not like me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real.
It's not about you.
It's very real.
Yeah. And so, I had corrected myself earlier because I said, don't make assumptions, because that's the third agreement is don't make any assumptions. And I had written down a quote, and I think it's kind of a powerful one. And he says, all the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally.
Yes.
Yeah.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
So how do we go about our day without making assumptions?
It's hard.
Right? You start your day, if you're anything like me, and I think I consider myself pretty normal, making assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I know I have these 7 things on my schedule today. I'm assuming this is one of those things. This is going to happen. I'm assuming I can prepare myself for that. But none of those are really true or accurate. We get good at it, though, right? We get really good at making these assumptions.
Yeah.
But what happens when they don't go our way?
Right.
What happens when this thing that you assumed, like, I assume that Corey's going to be home for dinner today, and 9 times out of 10, I was right. But then what happens when that 10th time comes around? Now I'm assuming that it's something wrong. I'm assuming that it's my fault. I'm assuming that it's because she's mad at me, right? These are challenges.
Or she's doing it to you, despite you.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
And he goes on to say, like, I might have already said it, kind of articulated it differently, but everything that the other person is doing is 100% just what they are doing.
Right.
They're not personally attacking you. So making an assumptions based on their behavior is only going to lead to despair. It's only going to lead you to feel bad.
Right. Yeah, and he really emphasizes questions, right? And so, not assuming how others think and feel and act, more so asking them questions, right? When you, in that example, the 9 times out of 10 Corey comes home, the 10 times that she doesn't, well, you didn't ask her. You didn't ask when are you coming home? I have dinner prepared. You didn't ask that because you made an assumption, right? And so it's a great example. Another thing that he says is we assume that others think the way that we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't we do that for real?
Right.
And when it's out of alignment with those things, when it's clearly that somebody judges differently or feels differently, what do?
It's personal.
We take it personal. We go, oh no, well that's wrong, or I'm wrong because of that.
Right.
They're clearly wrong, or I'm clearly wrong, right? There's not that there can both be true. It has to be one of them is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too what's also interesting about the book is, one, it's like, man. I loved kind of rereading a bit of it because it's so punchy. Like every sentence is very impactful, and it can be read very easily, but it also can be read very slowly and very deliberately. And one of the major themes that comes across each agreement is action. He emphasizes the action piece because you can know these. You could look these 4 agreements up. You could listen to us right now, and you could know these intellectually, but you can't know them unless you practice them. And so that's one of the major things, like making sure that you practice this, making sure that you notice if you're making assumptions, right? And he says something along the lines too that it's not exactly important to us all the time. At least we think it's not important to us all the time that we have the right answer. We just have a answer, and that's the assumption. Corey didn't come home because she's, is mad at me, and we make that assumption because we feel that the answer is an answer that we feel safe with, although the answer that we run with is not always the correct one. And this is why we have to ask questions, and we have to communicate, and we have to do all these things to make sure that we check our own assumptions. We check our certainty.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, take action, right? Think about it. Think about in your own personal life, how many times a day are you making these assumptions that are causing you, and this is the whole thing here, right? These are the things that are causing you to feel not your best, to feel low, to have these negative self-talk moments, right? It's not about other people. And that's what the beauty of this book is. He's never talking about how to make other people feel better. He's just simply saying, these are the things, these are the agreements that you can make with yourself. Mm-hmm. No one has to know about them. Nobody has to hear about them, but make them with yourself and start to see the way your life transpires.
Mm. Yeah.
And the fourth one, and this one is interesting, right? We can always do your best. Mm-hmm. It's like one of those lessons that you were told as a kid, right? These first three, you were told not to lie, but they didn't really explain it to you like, when you're telling yourself you're an idiot, you're lying to yourself.
Right.
But the other two, no one ever talks about because we live in this so codependent, habitation world. And then this fourth one, it's like people lead with that all the time, right? You can't go wrong if you do your best.
Right.
Right? But what does it really mean? Is my best going to be the same every day? No. Am I going to go out there and compete against you and beat you 10 times out of 10 because I'm always doing my best? Or am I going to do my best and lose 6 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or probably 10 out of 10? Right? But when does it feel like I did my best? When I win? Or when does it feel like I did my best? When I walk off and be like, you know what? I lost, but I did my best.
Yeah. You can do your best and fail, and you can do poorly and win. So that's not, the outcome is not necessarily the important bit. And super interesting the way that you worded that, because he does talk about that, to be detached from the outcomes. And so we usually think about it that way, like, ooh, just because I fail, like, okay, yeah, that's a good thing, like kind of cliche, but definitely an interesting point to think, wow, yeah, if you do a poor, mediocre job, you could still win, and you could be like, well, yeah, I guess I'm doing good. I guess because I get a good grade on the test, that means I'm doing fine. But in actuality, you may not be putting your best foot forward. You may not be putting the effort that, you may not be reaching your potential or whatever it might be. And so, yeah, very. It's a good one. He actually, this is something that comes through too. Is he says, very deliberately says, this is my belief that I choose. And he talks about that in terms of all the agreements. He says, I choose this belief. And I thought that was kind of interesting, especially given the previous talks that we've had on like how beliefs form and what they are. But he makes it very intentional that, always do your best. You don't have to. No one's telling you have to, although he is. But
and no one's telling you that they will know if you did your best.
Yeah, exactly. You could have great outcomes. You could have great outcomes. You could have failures, but only you know, and it's something that you have to decide that you want to do, and you're the only judge. You're the only judge of that.
What's a cool example for me was, and still is, the interview process. Right? Like corporate America, for all of us out there that go through the interview process, right? Every company's got their own, everybody's got their thing. But let's face it, whether you get the job or not, what you care about is that the best version of you showed up for that discussion, that interview. I mean, I've gotten jobs where I know that the best version of me didn't show up, but I got the job.
Sure.
And I've gotten jobs where I know the best version, and I've missed out on jobs where I'm like, man, it's not that I didn't get the job; it's that I didn't articulate myself properly. I didn't show up properly. I wasn't quite the best version of me. And that's when you kind of like start to ruminate and go, oh man, I didn't do my best that day. Not I wasn't at my best that day, because your best is different, right? But there's definitely a point where you kind of know, right? We all know, but nobody else does. You're the only person that can know. And that's what he's saying in all 4 of these agreements, right? These are so deeply personal that nobody else is going to know. I mean, you might you might lash out at somebody because you took something personal, or you might just take it personal and just not say anything and just be upset.
Sure.
Regardless, no one knows. No one knows why. And I think these are really great agreements to practice and to spend time thinking about, because we can all benefit from revisiting these topics consistently, because it's so simple. It's so easy to know, hey, today I'm not going to take anything personal. And by lunchtime, you're like, man, I think my boss freaking hates me. Like, and it's like, no, man, the dude was just super busy just because that's the way that the world is right now. Like, these are things that, to your example, man, I think somebody's mad at me. No, they just didn't text you back because they have 45 other things going on. Right. And so my question for you, for the audience, is to either, one, read the book, right? Go out and get it, pick it up. It's a short read. It's a small book. It's super simple. Or 2, go online and look up the agreements and spend a little bit of time. What do they mean to you, right? But most importantly, once you do understand the 4, see how prevalent they can be in your life. See how often you're breaking one of these kind of agreements that you could make with yourself.
Yeah. It's certainly taking time to hold yourself accountable to like a personal philosophy, whether it's these 4 agreements or some other agreements that you make with yourself. But that's the essence of change. And I think that leads to like a fulfilling life nonetheless. You can also have people around you who kind of check you on some of these things. And what comes to mind is the other day when you were kind of struggling with a permit, and your good friend Jay called us. He said, he pointed out to you that you were taking this permit process very personal. In your mind at that time, emotions were high. You kind of stressful, and so and so didn't get back to you, and you're like, this is, it always happens to me, or this is like, why is this happening to me? And it's got to be personal, and this and that. And he says, you're taking it personal. You're not living by your values, and that's like such a good friend, man. You need that.
Yeah, you do. And it's be careful if you are coaching somebody on one of these mistakes that they're making, because he did it really well. Yeah. But it can be very touchy subject when you say to somebody like, are you being impeccable with your word here, or are you taking this process that you don't know anything about personally, or these are things that can, when you start to own them, they can be touchy. But when you start to own them and start to see, I will tell anybody that will listen, I'll put it out there into the universe. These are things that can improve your life. Mm-hmm. And they did for me. And we joke all the time about being on the 5th version. There was a very clear delineation to when I decided that I was no longer going to be the person that put other people down. And that included myself. And while I still catch myself putting myself down, it's not nearly the way that it used to be. And once that started to change, the trajectory of my life went through the roof. The trajectory of the people that I was surrounding myself with, through the roof. The quality of people that I was surrounding myself, the quality of conversations that I was having, through the roof. Yeah. And truly grateful for the recommendation from Annie, and for Don Miguel for writing it. And I revisit it, once a year now.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was nice for me to reread too. So check out the book. Do your best with these agreements. And if you have any questions, you got comments, you have other ancillary kind of feedback, let us know. Give us a follow on Spotify, and then we will catch you next time. Thanks.